So this is the Ubique campsite again, and I've just been looking back at old videos and ones that's on YouTube, and I think it's time we did an update on living in a motorhome on the move through Europe and in Africa. So basically we've been on the road for about a month now. Yeah, about a month, maybe 5 weeks. So we're well into the routine now of airs going through Europe, paid secure car parks and motorhome resorts in Morocco. So when we first bought the motorhome, and this actually links back to when we bought the motorhome, the things we've done to the motorhome since we've bought it. I'm going to try and remember them all, but inevitably I'm going to miss some out. So let's start with the outside. Okay, because there's the convenient walls there, I'm going to stand on this wall. So on the top you'll see a pointing antenna. It's just up there. Maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. And also there's 2 solar panels up there. So there's 380 watts worth of solar power up there, 380 watts. And I'll show you the batteries and the inverter when we go inside. So other than the pointing antenna and the solar panels, what I've done is I've taken off the ladder off the back of the motorhome for added security, because it is possible, and it you know, having been here for a couple of weeks now, it's absolutely possible that someone could climb up on the top and steal the solar panels and maybe the pointing antenna. Although the pointing antenna, they would struggle to understand what that is, but definitely the solar panels. We've got the cover, and I have to remember where we got the cover from. I'll have to get back to you with that one. What I'll do is I'll write it on the video as a caption. We've got the video camera. Well, I fitted the CCTV, so there's basically CCTV at all 4 corners of the motorhome. And that CCTV goes to a DNVR held within a safe in the motorhome, and it also streams to the cloud as well, using the Teltonica router that we've got in the motorhome. So films, records it on the DNVR, and also sends it to the cloud as well, and that's 24/7 when I switch it on. We also got new tyres throughout. The old tyres were kaput, so they were renewed. And as far as that, on this side looking round, that's about it. So moving down to the gas area, I fitted a gas low system, as you can see there. But again, looking into the countries that did and didn't have gas low, I opted to go for 1 gas low bottle through UK and predominantly Europe, and then leave the other side free for a local bottle. So in this case, I've only just had the connector made up. Mohammed the Tajine man. If you ever stay at Olivia in this motorhome park, Laguna Park, Mohammed the Tajine man is referred to as. I just asked him to take the hose away and adapt it for a Moroccan bottle, because the one I had, even though looking at YouTube videos it says it's, you know, it screws straight onto the bottle, it didn't. So I had to have it modified. So he took the pipe away, and on the end there is a Moroccan regulator and a Moroccan adapter for the bottle onto the Moroccan bottle. So basically the way we use gas is I run down the Moroccan bottle and when it's empty, because there's obviously no way of telling if it's empty only other by weight, and I don't want to get it in and out all the time, when it runs out of gas, basically we switch to the gas low system that's still got half a bottle in there. You can see by the gauge there, still got about half a bottle in there. And then I'll basically go to the next gas place that sells gas bottles, and there's loads in Morocco, and I'll buy another bottle and then put that on, and then change it from the gas low back to the Moroccan until it runs out, and just keep that cycle going. And it saves my gas low system. It gives us a reserve once the Moroccan bottle is empty, basically. Yeah, so I went for one gas low and one locally sourced bottle. In this case, it's a Moroccan bottle in there with an adapted pipe going into the Moroccan bottle, and that works just fine. That happened yesterday, so it's quite recent, but yeah, all going fine. What we have found is that the LPG, I had an old 6 kilogram bottle on there as a reserve bottle, and the LPG from the UK is a much more powerful a gas to burn. The flame is a lot more intense from the UK LPG than it is from the well, in this case from the gas low, because going down through Europe it was getting filled up from station to station. I wasn't, you know, the quality of the gas must vary because the flame wasn't as intense. Whereas you put the UK LPG one back on, and we switched it back to UK LPG just to run that old bottle down, and the flame was much more intense. The Moroccan one is somewhere halfway between, so it's not as intense as the LPG, but it still burns quite well. Whereas the mixture of stuff, gas coming down through Europe, was a lot less intense. So yeah, quite weird gas statistics there. So that's the gas locker bottle, and obviously on the outside, because the Europeans don't like you to fill up the gas low system from the inside of the locker. It's got to be from the outside of the locker, so that's located there. Coming around the motorhome, so that was the old battery box. The only thing that's inside there is the blue Motorhome ECU that Rimor use. There's no point showing you in there because it's an empty box, and at the top of the box is the ECU for the motorhome. There's the other CCTV, and they all point inwards, so they've all got overlapping arcs around the motorhome. Around the back is toilet cassette. That I've told you before, that was leaking. It's now fixed. The toilet cassette wasn't leaking, the flush was leaking, but that's now been fixed. When I got to the motorhome and got it home, some of these lights at the back were foggy, and I actually got underneath and had a look why. There's no wonder why, because there was no rubber in between the bulb and the actual mounting itself. The rubber had been well, probably worn away and just was disintegrated and had fallen out, so I did that. And also the last couple to have this, or the one before that, must have had a tow bar on the back, because when they'd taken the tow bar off, they'd not insulated the wires that they removed them from, so there was open wires under there, and that's all been cut back, new wires reconnected and properly soldered together. Into the garage. So this garage, I've got an additional lock on there, Melenko. And with the garage, I'm just going to open it up now. On the left hand side down there, and this is all built in, is my toolbox. A basic selection of tools. In there, there's a socket set, there's various tools, wire cutters, anything that I thought would be really useful. Above that, storage, and actually in that is the old gas bottle right now, until I find somewhere to get rid of it. As you can see there. And then down below I've got my emergency fuel, 20 litres of fuel. I've got the toilet stuff. I've got, that's actually a mop bucket. Behind that is water jerry can. That comes in really useful because when you're in a motorway service station and you can't get close to the water supply, all I do is fill that up and ferry it backwards and forwards and fill it directly to the tank inside. We've done that 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times. It works well. There's my chocks for when the ground's uneven. The bottom one is I call long storage, so stuff I may need on the trip, but it's in there. And then the top one is it's empty for storage. Now I've got my ladder. I had to modify that ladder because it didn't fit in this locker, so I just took the top rung off there and then put the tops back on. So basically you take the tops off here, cut it off, and then re-put the tops back on, and that allows me, with the padding at the back there, that allows me to put the ladder resting against the roof rack or resting against the arch up there. And obviously it's adjustable, so I can put it up and down, and I use that to clean the solar panels when it's time to clean the solar panels, with also this mop as well. And they get cleaned about once a week. It's probably due next time we stop. I'll do it next time we stop because they get a bit sandy. And I think that's the locker. Yeah, remember there was a bed in here that fitted on here. I took all that out and then made it into the garage, what you see now. It gets a bit disorganised, and also the chairs that you saw at the front there, they just lay on the top when we're travelling. The hook here is for the electronic hookup, the EC, the hookup cable, and then you got the food safe hose to the right hand side, and it's just a cool box. Spare oil down there, and there's bulbs in the long storage stuff for the motorhome and other bits and pieces. There's quite a lot of rag in here as well, you know, for wiping your hands or washing your hands, and some hand cleaner. Okay, I'm going to shut that too now. Then down this side, one of the first things I messed up with is I tried to start the boiler with a cover on, and it wouldn't start, and I know that now, but when you do it the first time and the boiler doesn't work, obviously you think the boiler's buggered, but it wasn't. It was just me being an idiot, not taking the cover off, and as soon as you take the cover off, it clicks and sparks and off it goes. Like I say, we have 2 methods of filling the tank, one through here when we're bone dry or very low, or the other method is I use the 10 litre water jerry can and just shuttle full tanks of water, full jerry cans of water in and out into the motorhome. Right, I think that's all the outside. I'm going to go into the inside now. So I'll probably start from the front and work my way backwards. So this is it. This is our lived-in motorhome. Take my flip-flops off as soon as I get in. Try and keep it as clean as possible. It's difficult when you're on the road. It really is. That's our double bed, and that is really nice to sleep in. That is, despite being quite thin, it is. Just let me turn this fan off. Despite being quite thin, it is actually really comfortable, and we have some brilliant night's sleep on that. Up to the left hand side there's a fan, a couple of bottles of water, my head torch, and my watch that I don't use anymore because it makes my wrists sweat. Up there is our Teltonica router, and it goes out to the pointing antenna. There's a SIM card in that. Actually, that Teltonica router holds 2 SIM cards. The one that's in it now is a Moroccan local SIM card, and we went for a data package only for that SIM card. You've got to activate it on your phone, but then you put it into the router and it supplies you with that Wi-Fi bubble basically. it's all coded, and we buy cards at 30 gigabytes at a time. Put the card in, put the card in your phone, register it on the phone, put it in there, and it all works. Actually, what we do is get the girl at the counter from the Motorhome to activate the card first, because it's in French, and then we put it in the router, and whilst we're outside the shop we check if it all works. And we know it works because we turn the TV on, and if the Fire Stick works, then it's all working. So we're back with the bed, double bed. We've talked about the router in the cab. Not much has changed in the cab. Fire extinguisher. I've got the steering lock and the wheel lock. I've got the dash cam fitted, and I've also put a tyre pressure gauge, electronic one, on there, and there's tyre pressure sensors on the dust caps, which is really handy actually. Yeah, I keep my eye on that. But other than that, a new radio, which is not very good. But other than that, it's all pretty much standard. I've had to get a little booster seat for Wendy. That's just the bag that the covers come in. And then the sat nav, I use TomTom, and we use Google Maps when we get close to somewhere, just as a check. Under that seat there is water storage. Under this seat is like our long storage, so in this case it's waterproof jackets and, you know, thick clothing that we won't need whilst we're in Africa. That's the water tank under there. I think it's about 100 litres. And under here is the electronics, which I'll show you. Let's put this out of the way. Something's not charging. So basically under here I had fitted the, so that's two 12-volt 150 amp lithium batteries. That's a 2000 watt inverter. The front there is a Victron electronic hookup device, and over to the left is the infamous DC-DC charger, battery to battery, that we only got working about a week and a half ago. So if I'm doing hookup, I switch the switch on there to on, and then I go into this drawer here, with this cupboard here, and I turn the back switch onto 1. So 1 is electronic hookup, 0 is off, 2 is through the inverter. Once I've done that, if I'm on hookup, then it's onto 1 in there, the switch on in there. Before I do that, I make sure that the master switch there, if you can see it, master switch there is off and the inverter is off, because you do not want the hookup on at the same time as the inverter. Okay, so if I'm using the inverter, I switch on to 2 in the cabinet, and I come in here and I switch the master switch on that I've just shown you onto on, and I put the inverter onto on and make sure that switch there is on off. It's not plugged into the hookup anyway, so it won't do any harm, but yeah, that's the routine. There, like I said, 2 times 12 volt 150 amp batteries, lithium batteries, LPF batteries. Okay, that's that. And as far as power is concerned, we've had no issues with not having enough power since we started. We've had issues with the battery to battery, but not actually the amount of power. What does cause an issue is when we didn't have the gas working on the fridge, and I was running the fridge off the hab batteries. That really used a lot of power and drained the batteries quite quickly. But with the solar on top, and obviously being in Africa, we're getting lots and lots of sunshine, so the charge is right up there pretty much all of the time. And if you do a drive, like a 2 or 3 hour drive, by the time you got to your next location, you're either charged with solar or a charge now with DC or with battery to battery. These 2 cupboards here are almost empty. A few games, me hair cutter, other bits and pieces in there. That is almost empty. Some people have gasped to say, you know, how can you have empty cupboards when you've gone to Africa for so long? That's come off and didn't notice that before. But you do. I mean, we don't need a lot of stuff. In there is our pots and pans, as you can see, and that's enough for the two of us. Working down on the left hand side, in there is our storage for pots and pans and sealable containers. Got some onions in there. This is our brew box. So in there is our brew kit, spices, and the kettle actually fits. It's down there now because I like my brews, but the kettle actually fits in that corner out of the way, and it pretty much stops things rolling about. Under here we've got the bin area, cleaning products, and as you know, we've got, well, as you would like to know with the motorhome, we've got the boiler. And you switch the boiler on by that switch there. It's either 50 degrees or 70 degrees. We're put onto 70 degrees for having showers and 50 degrees for washing pots and pans. We've got the knife and forks drawer in there. And under here we've got a safe. And that safe has been bolted using coach bolts to the chassis of the vehicle. So the bolts go through the wooden support at the bottom, which brings it in line with this level here. And actually, you know, it's bolted with coach bolts. So you've basically, the nut, that means the nuts are inside the safe. So all you can see at the bottom is a rounded end to a bolt, and that goes in the bottom of the safe, and it's all bolted in. And then I've built up the shelves either left and right. And in there is a laptop, cameras, hard drive, external hard drives, documentation, and credit cards and things like that. All the stuff that you wouldn't want to go missing if someone broke in, basically. Okay, we've already looked in the garage, which is down the left hand side there. Up the top is more storage, and the table you saw outside just slides down there. And under here there is another table under this false bottom to this bed. But yeah, that's more storage. In the bathroom, nothing much changes in here. We've got all our stuff. That doesn't move about a lot, and if it does, it just falls over on the road. And we've been on some bumpy roads. The toilet, and to the left hand side, the shower. And believe it or not, I can get a good shower in there. I've got to, you know, fold myself in half. But yeah, it works really well actually. Shower works well, good strength, onto 70 degrees, leave it for 20 minutes, warms up, get myself in there. We both get wet, then soap up, and then get wet again and rinse off, and that does us basically. On the left hand side is more clothes storage. This does suffer when we're on the road. Everything was hung up, and now some things are fallen down and some things are hung up there, but that's hanging space. Down the bottom there it is shoe storage, and actually in there we've got baby wipes and nappy sacks, because when you go to the local Moroccan toilets you can't put the paper down the toilet, and there's a bin to the left hand side. So what we do is we take baby wipes and a nappy sack. Use your baby wipes, and once they're done, put them in the sack and then put them in the bin. Just makes things more hygienic than using toilet roll. We've got the heater down there. That has been used in Europe when it's a bit chilly in the morning. That works very well. Over here, well, that's just the back of the wires, which I'll show you the front of the wires afterwards. More storage. Wendy bought that. We'll put it back together. We've put it together. That just stores all t-shirts, underwear, socks, what have you. This is our food storage, all packed away in there. as you can see that. Beers down the bottom, obviously. Fridge, that's well stocked. Not going to open that too much because it is warm outside. And the freezer, that's the prawns we bought last night, chilling, some bread and some ice blocks. And we keep that locked, and actually I'm just going to turn that up a little bit, just like that. So on this side, which I failed to mention whilst I was looking at electronics, is the solar panel indicator to find out what voltage you're getting. And up there is a screen. Now this is a camera feed, so I've got an internal camera feed. So when we're in bed, I use my phone because there's an app on the phone, the High Connect app. I go on there and I can see what's happening outside on my phone if I can't be bothered to get up. Otherwise I get up and I press the power on the screen and it gives me the image of all 4 cameras. So when you're in the motorhome, everything sounds really louder than what it is actually happening outside. It's intensified. The feeling of being vulnerable is definitely prevalent, but it's not so much when you've got cameras, because when the cameras are on and it's looking all around the motorhome, it might be kids playing 100 meters away, or youths on just messing about on mopeds, doing what youths do, being quite innocent. And just to finish off, in there is electronics, all stuff like connectors and chargers and things like that. So that's the motorhome. That's an update of where we're at with all the additions that I put in from the day we purchased it. And I think I've remembered everything. There's always going to be something in there that I've not remembered. But yeah, life on the road. This is how we live.